Yeah, welcome back to DXB Today. It's a rare thing. It's bringing together, well, 5 human beings on a sofa as well. But for how long remains to be seen. That's the big question we are asking today. It is the human brain versus modern technology. Will the two be able to coexist? And we'll continue that conversation now. And who better to ask than our next guest, who is basically driving AI and technology adoption to solve real world problems today. Based out of the UAE. Global mandate though, of course. Welcome to the show, Thomas Pramodaram, the CEO of Presight, which of course is, well, creating headlines. Not just here in the region, Thomas, but the world over. Congratulations for everything that you and the team at Presight have done in recent times. But before we get on to the company, let's address that question. The human mind, is the human mind at risk to AI at the moment and the advances we're seeing from AI?
I think that's a common question, and first of all, thanks for having me here.
Not at all.
And one thing you can be assured, no one can replace you guys. Tom, you're one of the individuals. I don't think we could transcend you into an AI brain.
I'll get out of here.
Yeah. But a big part of it is this fear of, like, would a human brain be replaced by a machine brain? And I think it's not. It's an amplification. There's the scalability of AI, but the contextualization and the emotional understanding of the human brain will always coexist together. The change, although it's here, and we must embrace it. And the conversation about digital workers, I think that's real. So would AI help you do your work better and be a better host? I think it will, because it's going to get you content a lot faster. That is what we must embrace. So it's not so much of the human versus the machine, but the human and the machine is what we need to talk about.
Speaking of the human and the machine, futurists for decades have been talking about an event called the Singularity. They're guessing it might happen in 2060, as early as that, maybe even earlier. What's your thoughts on the Singularity? First of all, what is it for anyone that might not know, and what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think the fact that intelligence become a being, that understands and perpetuate on its own, it will continue to be a goal. For some, it's the ultimate goal that we want to get to, where intelligence would be. I think that thought will continue, and that's what drives the human race for innovation. What we need to answer today in 2025, 2026 is, how do you make use of the intelligence you have today to apply to the work we do, the cities we manage, the companies we run. The constant thought with quantum computing, singularity, the supreme intelligence, I think that's a chase that some are going. Will it happen? It might not. But if we get so fixated on that end, then you're missing the intelligence that you have today and what we could offer. And AI is a leveler. It will normalize emerging economies, developed economies. It will normalize skill sets between people. It will create higher value work and higher output for the humankind. Be it energy, city management, in the way we work in communities. I think that must be the conversation. What is it that you could do now, and how could we make life better today? And in the path that one day there would be a singularity event where intelligence will become, a being that we need to be worried about.
Oh.
Do you think there are the right governance structures to be able to oversee, as we navigate the next phases of AI, all the ethical conundrums that are going to be coming forward?
Yeah, I think it's unfair to put AI in a spot, to say that if there's enough governance and regulatory for it. I think technology as is emerging, right? And if you trace back the discovery of fire, how do you regulate that? It's 2 ways. Electricity was much easier. Today, I think we need governance and regulatory to work together, but for that you need to understand the application where we're going in it. The internet was a bane to some that says it's evil, but then it's opened up so much to us and we evolve. So yes, there's a constant need to understand where we apply AI. There's a constant conversation governments must have with each other in the country, like what UAE has done with our AI Council. The G42 group has launched the AI for Responsible AI Centers. That conversation will continue to happen. But what drives it? How are we applying the technology? And how we apply the technology will create the regulation and governance structure on what we want to achieve with it, not the other way around.
It's interesting. I want to actually go back to, I guess, Presight itself, because perhaps many that are watching now don't really know the details to what you actually do and what you've achieved here in the UAE with some of your recent announcements. Tell us more about what Presight actually does.
It's quite amazing. Presight's founded in 2020. We're one of the first Abu Dhabi Emirati developed technology company that's exporting out of the UAE. We've been the national platforms for many federal departments, the Abu Dhabi City Council, the Abu Dhabi Department of Municipality and Transportation, the National Emergency Crisis Agencies, the National Audit Platform is us. If you look at it, before generative AI became the hype, Presight was a big data analytics-centric company. We supported the pandemic management system in the UAE itself. We supported Expo 2020. We used foundation AI, right, and then machine learning, NLPs, and now we're incorporating a lot of new generative AI into these sectors. We focus a lot on government services, which was our primary bread and butter. We brought in energy last year with the acquisition of AIQ, and through that we launched the first agentic global energy AI large language model. And that's creating agents that support processes in the upstream operations of oil and gas. And then we're focused in financial services and smart cities, and that's where you see the announcement is going. With us, it's a lot about learning what we have done in Abu Dhabi well, applying that, and then exporting that out to the region.
But to that point of export as well, and Presight very much on the front lines, advanced in probably beyond the front lines, beyond the lines at the moment, and seeing things before we do. We're well back in the barracks at the moment. Is there an element of harnessing AI in terms of drip feeding to the general public the potentials to transform industries or not?
I think it is. When we get on panels, and one of the things I would talk about is like, how many of you guys have ChatGPT? And people put up their hand.
Yeah.
And then that's quite often, and you see a lot more now. And then we go like, how many of you have it on the first screen? And then the number of hands dropped. And I said, well, one, you have accepted that you need to use AI. And the guys who have it on the first screen next to Teams and WhatsApp has adopted AI in it. The burden of bringing emerging technology to the general public, that burden sits on the technologists themselves.
Yes.
Right, so we need to educate and show that technology is useful. And for technology to be useful, it needs to be trusted. And once it's trusted, it's adopted. So I attended the Dubai AI Festival, and the Amazon CTO was it. And one slide caught my eye. He said, when the technology becomes useful, it's no longer AI. People forget about it because it helps you with your life and you accept it. And today, I think more and more people, I believe, are accepting the use of AI to assist them in the work they're doing.
We spoke a little bit about governance and regulations and technologists themselves. Now, with the future of AI, because I think the idea is that AI technology is supposed to be built to serve us, but as AI helps capital, it might get to a point where we're shifting our lives to suit AI. Whose burden is it to try and figure out the direction to go when it comes to the ethics of it?
I still think the application of it is key. So if a city applies AI, right, in what ways do you do? Today we use computer vision for traffic management. There's sufficient artificial intelligence to regulate traffic lights. That's the city's point of use. If you use it personally in your work, you have to observe that I do not put certain material onto an open source AI. So in the UAE, we launched the UAE Sovereign Enterprise Assistant through Presight. So that's about keeping sovereignty and data residency. So if you ask me, the users of it, the people who deploy AI, has that responsibility. It's unfair to abdicate responsibility to a governing body and say, well, this is your job, you need to do it. But you need to bring the practitioners and the guys who make the regulatory framework together. And only by amplifying that, by that handshake, that synergy, that you could really make good use of the technology.
Thomas, it's been absolutely fascinating. We're literally all just hanging on your every word, and that is why humans will never be replaced. Thomas, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For now, though, we would like to get to know our guest co-host, Dr. Khan, just a little bit better, and I believe, Farish, you're the right person to do that.
Yes, Dr. Khan, we have 60 seconds to get as many last-minute questions out of the way as possible, so quick-fire questions. Are you ready?
Oh boy.
Let's start the clock in 3, 2, 1. What was your first ever job?
A teacher.
What is your motto when it comes to life and work?
Carpe diem.
Carpe diem. If you could have an AI assistant, what tasks would you want it to handle for you?
All the daily stuff that bogs me down, the meeting stuff.
Which of your tasks does AI currently handle?
I would say for my physicians, it's the documentation.
If you could have dinner with any person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Prophet Muhammad.
Oh, wow. Your favorite AI platform right now?
I would say ChatGPT. I use that.
What's the best way for you to unwind after a stressful day?
Watch Netflix.
Just like me. Your go-to restaurant in Dubai?
I'm mainly in Abu Dhabi, but here we come, when we come to Global Village, we go to Bandukhan.
Absolutely. A book, movie, or series you recommend since you're on Netflix? so much?
I've been watching Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Of course, we got to ask, why Dubai, or should I say, why the UAE for you?
I think the leadership has really transformed how it approaches AI more than any other place that I can think of. It really has liberated the companies as well as organizations to really bring it into their culture, bring it into their environment, and employ it in making their business better.
Absolutely.
Dr. Khan, we can't thank you enough. Thanks so much indeed for taking the test, taking on the challenge, but also for being our guest co-host today. Safe journey back to Aberdeen, and thank you really much for your time today. And of course to you, Thomas, as well. In fact, you could share a lift back down to Aberdeen.
Oh, absolutely.
Great to have you. Thanks for everything that you and all the team at Presight do. It's
Always good to see you guys. Thanks for having us.
Listen, these guys are going to go off and discuss maybe AI and more. We're going to stick around. Why? We've got a bit of live music coming your way. We're going to be crossing down live to the Pizza Express shortly. Aston is waiting in the wings. Stay with us.
Hey, my name is Aston. Don't forget to catch me at the end of the show where I'll be performing. Cool Baby Cool is an original song of mine, and it's about falling in love. I love to write songs because a blank piece of paper turns into a piece of art, and I get inspiration from all sorts of things: friends, family, and my own experiences. I've got a message for everyone who's watching. Stop consuming and start creating. Let's go.